guys, welcome to piano lesson number 28. I got my braces off. Woo! I'm pretty happy about that actually. Like, they're all smooth and I feel like, I don't know, I just like keep licking them and like looking and I'm just like, yay! They're off after so many years. I had them on for like 3 and a little bit years, so yeah. It's really a nice feeling to have them off, even if I still do have the bottom ones. The bottom ones bug me like 10% in the 90s. The top ones were like 90% bugging me. But yeah, as you noticed, I also got blinged out with a nice suit here. Yeah. There's a sale on and I was like, oh, these things are half price. So I just like went and bought one. So, yeah. I don't know if, I didn't want to like wear the tie and like button up and be all like choked up or whatever. I don't know, I just wanted to look semi-nice, and yeah. I thought it'd be kind of cool to like, you know, all at the same time that I have like my braces on my top teeth off, at the same time get the suit going too. So yeah. So I've actually got quite a few updates for you guys. Today's lesson is going to be on fingering, general rules, stuff that can help you make up your own fingering for pieces and whatnot. And I also have an announcement to make. I'm going to be launching a website, not to do with YouTube at all actually. Well, it'll have links and videos and stuff like that to it, but basically it's going to be a website where you can like go to access information about piano. I'm going to be like posting stuff about like music theory and like different piano techniques, and like maybe tell stuff about like how a good practice outline would be, or what you use scales for, and like piano FAQs, like questions that I get repeatedly asked like hundreds of times over and over and over. So then I don't have to answer them as much anymore. Then I can just be like, go look at the FAQ, and then that can save my hands the typing. Okay, and it's also going to have a forum, so you guys can like all gather there and like discuss music things, and all like go on there and, you know, answer questions, and we can have discussions and whatnot if that's interesting as well. Should also have like videos, embedded video of my YouTube stuff, so you can go and watch individual lessons, and I'll have probably like a comment box on the side where I give maybe like a director's cut kind of like commentary about little things that you might not have known about the video or something like that. I'm not really sure where it's going yet, but yeah. And so I was talking to my designer, who's actually on YouTube as well. His name's Nathaniel. His YouTube account is tutvid.com, or tutvid, and he has a website too called tutvid.com. That's tutvid.com. So he's doing my website for me actually, and he's doing me a huge favor. So this guy is awesome. So if you like the website when it's up, please go see him, visit his website, leave comments for him, subscribe to him, you know, tell him that you really love the job he did, because he's really helping me out. So he was saying that we're probably going to launch it around March 5th. So around that day, maybe like March 4th or something, March 5th, I'll give you guys the URL to go to, and then we can try that out. Okay, so that's that. Now that that is all out of the way. So today we're going to be talking about fingering, and this is sort of an interesting topic itself. It's the funny thing is, you'd expect that there's all these rules and regulations and things with fingering, that you must follow this, you must follow that, but actually, okay, to give you an idea of how kind of shady fingering can be, it's like you buy a scale book and they have all the fingerings written down there for you to do, but guess what, if you go into your exam and you don't follow them, you won't get docked for not using those fingers. You can actually make up your own fingers however you want. The only thing is that what they've written there is usually the most comfortable and the most efficient. So with fingering, it's actually kind of interesting, because in its most basic principle, it's like, do whatever feels good and works. That's basically it. But there are some general guidelines that actually help, so that you can make you can quickly make fingering that works for you. Now, I was trying to find some examples of fingering that I could use, but then I didn't want to like whip out some hardcore piece or anything like that, so I decided to go into like a small little book and show something more basic, so that like because you know, obviously people that are watching this probably aren't like grade 10 pianists or whatever. They're probably just like small people that are beginners, or maybe they've been self-taught for a couple of years and they've always wondered certain things here or there. So I'm just gonna go. I've got some pieces here. One of, you know, that Penguins piece I posted a while ago, the one that goes. Anyway, so yeah, I've got that piece actually here, and I'm going to be going through a couple of the things, why they've selected the fingering they have, and how we can apply that to other things. Maybe I'll look for a couple other examples and show you that. Okay, so the main thing I'm trying to say here is fingering is very flexible. You can change fingering to whatever suits your own hand and whatever feels comfortable. What you want to be doing is getting an efficient use of your hand. So that means doing as few lifts as possible, as few tucks and twists as possible. You don't want to be stretching in awkward positions. Sometimes it can't be helped, but that's what you just got to do. You basically go with the music and you'll figure it out. So now it's time for me to take my little camera off the tripod here. Okay, so let's turn the light on and illuminate the music a little bit. Okay, so the title of the piece here is Penguins. It is by Linda Nymath, who's a composer in British Columbia here actually. She's really cool actually. So, as you can see right here, it's called, they want like a waddling kind of a sound. It's written in A flat major. Don't want to get into too much, but basically what we've got here, now if you look really closely, you see, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a 5, a 2, and a 1. So they want you to use your 5th finger up here, your 2nd finger here, and your 1st here. Now why do you think they'd want to do that? Okay, so in fingering, our general rule is we want to do as little, like if we have a note here, and a note here, and a note here, we don't want to be going like this. That's not very efficient. This would probably be the best fingering for it. But then you also have to be thinking about what comes after that. What if you had to hit this note? So this no longer is the most efficient. This would be. But what if after that you're coming down like here? What would you do? I would probably come over here and use my 2nd finger. There's different options you do. You always want to be thinking in the context of the previous note that you played and then the note that you're going to have to play after you play that note. So whatever note you're on, you're always thinking about the note that you came before and the note that comes after. And what you want to do is set up a nice flowing kind of finger pattern that actually matches the way the notes are going. Now Chopin was really good for this. Like a lot of his stuff, like the minute waltz. Like it's really built for some good. It's got like all these finger patterns, and like you do things like this where you're going 4, 5, or so it's like you come in here and then you go here, 5, 4, 3, 2. But see how when I do this, it sort of fits all the finger patterns there, right? Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to get to. I feel sort of kind of weird about this topic here. I've had it asked a couple times, like, how do you do good fingering? It's basically like, you look at the notes, and you devise what is going to fit your hand the best. Now, if you have a note here, and a note here, or a note here, and a here, you just want to lay your hand out, so it's nice. You wouldn't do this. You wouldn't put your 3rd here if you're going to be playing all the way up to here. You'd put your thumb on the C, because that way you can reach all the way up there without having to move. So it's all about being lazy, trying to get play the most keys without having to move. Kind of like, you know, if you're lounging around with watching TV or something, you want to put all the chips and the dip and everything really close so you don't have to like lean over and move or anything. You can, you know, you just lay it all around you and then you're like, ah, now I don't have to move. So if you can have that kind of a mentality where it's like the lazy mentality where you want to do everything easier with less effort, that'll help. So the reason why they've actually done this, it's good to know your intervals for this, because look, if I am looking at this G and I see this C, this is a G to a C is a fifth, so that just means that it'll be one note per finger, and then this D is right next to the C. So look, see how this fits my hand here? Now there's different things I could have done that would have been more awkward, like I could have gone 4, 3, 2, but that's sort of a stretch. This just fits your hand nice. Now the next part, right here, now look at this, they've got 2/3. This is a third and this is a third, like the interval apart. So now what they have written here is 1, 3, so the bottom number actually goes with the bottom note and the top number goes with the top note. The bottom number here is 2 and then 4, so that's the way they want it to go. They want 1, 3, 2, 4. Now why would they want to do that? Well, if we look down here, the notes they want you to play, these two notes, go into these two notes. And they want sort of an upward motion, as you can see by these phrases here. It's da-da and left and then da-da. So if we have to connect them, it's easiest to play stuff like this, right? We don't want to go like something like that. So this should be really obvious to most people, but yeah, I guess it's always good to explain stuff like this. So right now they want 1, 3. Now it's going to go to 2, 4. That's what they want. Now I'll explain why this is actually good. Because look, we've got 1, 3. We're moving to 2, 4. So both fingers are actually moving up one digit. 1 is moving to 2, and 3 is moving to 4. So where there's no awkward skipping motions, it's just one finger to the next. So 1, 3, 2, 4. Now you can even add like you can push your hand up, and you can get a nice sound. Then you can be thinking about, you know, maybe accenting the top note a little bit and making it voiced a bit, so. I don't know if you can hear that in the sound quality, but I'm bringing out the top note a little bit. That's called voicing, and that's just a little bonus feature for this lesson. It always sounds better if you're highlighting the top note. Like if you're playing 2 Gs, it'll sound a little bit better if you put more weight into this side of your hand. So that's called voicing, and you do that a lot throughout piano. And the general rule with that is you're highlighting the top voice. Now, okay, so we've got this, the fingering here. Now another point I want to make is that when you're looking at your music, the phrases that go through the music actually kind of give you hints of where they're going to have lifts and what's a good place to put fingering. So what if they didn't have any numbers here? Well, because they're all lined up like that, I would just assume with this phrase that this would be one hand position. And then I do a little left, and they're all kind of in the same layout here, and they're using the same note, so I'm going to keep it there. But here it changes. So, but it's stepping up, so I'm probably just going to step up with my fingers. Now here, this is where it goes a little crazy. We've got a chromatic scale going on here. So, I think I covered chromatic scales before this in a previous lesson. I can't really remember off the top of my head where, but the general rule with this is our thumbs are going to be on the white keys, our number 3s are going to be on the black keys. And whenever we get to a section where there's 2 white keys, then we're going to put 1, 2 and bridge the gap to the 3. So it's like, if this is land here and this is land here, this is going to be our bridge across the water. Okay, so here's what it would look like in action. So they've got da da da. through the notes. Does it? No. Yeah, it actually just goes to the G, sorry. So, I'm just going nice and smooth. I've got my fingers curved. Just like that. You want, good fingering should be relaxed fingering. It's not something that's going to like stress you out and go, yeah. Something like that. Now, I'll give you one thing. If you're playing Bach and your hands are tired and sore and you've got lots of twists and stuff like that, basically the higher up you go in piano, the more difficult fingering becomes and the more of an issue it becomes. That's sort of why I didn't want to be like going with a hardcore piece, because, you know, I'd probably get stuck talking about it for like an hour or something. So, like, basically, you're going to do what fits your hand the best. Like, if you had to play this in a Bach piece, I think that's so good. See how I'm just kind of going like this? If I did this, I could do that too, but no, I don't really know where I'm going here. I'm just sort of like going around with this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've never actually had to teach this on fingering before. It's too much. I know the general rules. I can basically figure them out. The steps that I take for fingering would be, I'll look at my piece, say I'm learning the piece. And I'm like, okay, well, the first thing I'm going to get is the fingering. So I'll actually go through the piece and mess around with different fingerings and see what feels good. If there's fingering written in, I'll check that out first, but if there's something I don't like, I'll think of alternatives I could use. Other things like substituting fingers, stuff like that. So, and then once I'm done that, then what I do is I write down the fingering that I'm going to use. So I specifically write it down because, here's my next really crucial point, is it's extremely, extremely important to use the same fingering all the time. Now the reason for this is because, let's put this back on here. Okay, the reason, yeah. Okay, now the reason why this is so important is actually because I want you to think of two cities here. We're going to have the Brainiac city. So say the Brainiac city is your brain. Now there's going to be the Hantagaf city. So the Brainiac to the Hantagaf. Now say you have a messenger and he's like, okay, I need to take a message to the Hantagaf city. So he sets out, and in between these two cities is this forest of jungle and untamed land with like marshes and snakes and monkeys that steal your wallet and your life-saving canteen and whatnot. And there's brushes and all these things in the way, so he's hacking through the forest, and it's like a long, stressful journey. So the person sends him out, and he gives him the message, do this, like move finger 5 up, or something like that. So by the time he gets through the jungle and he's all sweaty and he's like got mud caked on his face and he's just like, he gets to the Hantagaf city. It takes a little bit longer than normal, and then they're like, so what's the message? And then he's just like, oh, hold on, this huge stressful journey has tired him out. And finally he goes, oh, it's something about finger 5, I think, moving. I'm not really sure. I forget the details now. The monkey stole my what I had the things written on. So now I just can't. Don't remember. So they're like, all right, well, we'll just do that. So that's like the early stages of when you first start playing piano. It's like your brain isn't used to sending all these signals and messages to your fingers. So what happens is, as you send the message from your brain, or whatever I called the city, Brainiac or something, to Hantagaf. So say they're sending those messages. Over time, what will happen is the trail that the messenger went through, he's going to make a little trail, and then they'll be like, oh, this is an easier path because these are already cut. So they'll go down that trail again, and maybe it'll get a little bit wider, and then as it's being used more and more, then the two cities might be like, hey, it might be a cool idea if we like create a little dirt road here. So they throw some dirt down, and now little cars can go by. So it's going a little bit faster, it's not as much of a stressful journey, and the messages are becoming more and more clear, and your hand is able to listen to what your brain is telling it to. Now, after more and more time, it's just like, oh, and then they expand it and they like throw some pavement down and they turn it into a little 2-lane road that's windy and it's got some cracks in it and passing is kind of blah. So they're like going on, and then maybe eventually they're like, oh, let's expand this to like a 2-lane highway. So they turn it into a highway, and now all of a sudden you can go phew, 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 and you're like racing back and forth between the two cities, and the messages are coming clear and forth. And no, they do not have email yet. This is before the invention of internet. Just in case you're trying to find holes in my story here. And so they're like going by and they have got the superhighway kind of thing going, and then maybe they expand it to like an 8-lane complete superhighway, and now it's just going back and forth, because you're always taking those same steps. Every time you have to teach your hands to do something new, it's like you have to that's another jungle that you have to go through. But once you learn that and you keep doing it at a mastery level, it's going to be like a superhighway, and your fingers will listen to every little tiny detail that your brain sends out to it. So if you get frustrated in your mind about, oh, my fingers aren't doing what I'm telling them to do, that's normal, and it will go away as you keep practicing it. Your dexterity is going to increase. You'll notice that your 3rd, 4th, and 5th finger are going to listen to you the least. And also your thumb is going to feel a little bit awkward because you have to clunk it down. Now the reason for this, why your outside fingers are more clunky, is because how often do you ever like open a bottle of milk with this finger and you're like, yeah, or you're like holding a pencil and you're writing with it? You don't. That's the reason, because they aren't as used as these fingers in the front. These ones get less used, so in other words, they're weaker and they don't listen to you as well. They're less dexterous. But as you keep going with piano, they'll get better. Now the whole reason I'm explaining this is because it's imperative that you keep the same fingering in your pieces, because what happens is, it's like if you use this one type of fingering as you're going through the piece, then it's like you're making one path through from one city to the next. But say you decide, oh, on this note I'm going to use maybe a finger 3, or sometimes I'll play finger 5. What's going to happen is every time you get to that point, you're going to be da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You're walking along the path, you're driving, depending on how, developed this path is. And then all of a sudden, poof! Oh no, there's a fork in the road. Well, what do I do? So every time you get to that point, it doesn't matter how, you're always going to have this little question in your mind, just for half a second even, or it could be longer, what finger am I going to put down? And that little hesitation can throw off your whole performance. So what happens is every secondary finger you have, a new road pops up. And then you've got all these different things, and then once you use that finger, then it all weaves back into it. So it's a pointless fork that really goes nowhere. So what we want to do is stick to one fingering. Pick a fingering and decide which one you want to go with, because then you won't have to worry about multiple fingerings happening and you're getting confused and everything. So if there's one thing that I want you to learn from this video, it's that what you do first, you look over the piece, then you write down the fingers, and then you commit to it 100%. You marry the fingers for life. You marry the fingering. Now for those of you that are afraid of commitments, maybe this could be a lesson to help you increase your, comfort level with commitment. Now, so we want to stick to those fingers, because if we don't, it's just going to throw everything out the window. It's going to create pauses, wrecks. It's just like very, very bad. So we want to condense. Now, don't worry, if you have already messed it up with multiple fingers, you can always decide that road is going to be closed off, and then you can put yellow tape over it. And after you do it a couple more times, a little while, you just decide, I'm always going to use this finger, and I'm always going to use this finger, and then eventually that road will just get forgotten, and it'll grow over with vegetation, and it'll never be used again. So what we want to do is use the same fingers. It's better if we don't have to ever create the road in the beginning, because then I don't have to waste time, and we can make that other road like a 8-lane superhighway, and it's just straight, so it's easy to drive down. So I hope that illustration helps. Now, I want you to use that illustration to keep the same fingers. I also want you to think of phrases as kind of guides to the fingering. and you want to put your hand in the middle ground so you don't have to move it very much. So that's sort of my blurb on fingering. What you want to be doing is looking at the music and finding the high point and the low point, and then, if you can put your hand just so that it never has to move, that's perfect. What if there's a couple extra notes? Well, then we want to divide it kind of equally in a convenient place, and then have one change. We don't want to turn it into do one change, another change, and another change. We just want as little as we can get by with. We want that to be kind of the motto, just like as little as we can get by with for moving. And yeah, that's my blurb on fingering. My next lesson is going to be on using your pedal technique. I'm going to give exercises that you can use to help your coordination with the pedal and stuff like that. So that when you're playing your pedal pieces, you're not going to be getting little gaps in between and stuff like that. And I might explain stuff like half pedaling, and maybe I'll even get into like flutter pedaling. But I'm not that good at flutter pedaling. Yeah. Flutter pedaling. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so that's that, and I hope you guys look out for my new website coming out. It'll be up March 5th or so, and I'm going to put in a link to the guy that's actually doing it for me. His account is tutvid, and his website is tutvid.com. I know I already said that, but this guy is like saving me so many hours of like hair pulling out frustration. I don't really know HTML. Like, I'm not bad with computers. I know basic, good, fair amount of stuff. But when it comes to like website design, I'm like, help? And I just don't have enough time to like learn how to like do HTML and or even like learn Dreamweaver or something like that. I actually tried, but like I gave it an honest try. I tried for 48 hours straight, and I came up with basically nothing. So yeah, this guy is awesome, and he's doing me a huge favor. So please check him out, subscribe to him if you like his stuff. He's got lots of tutorials on Photoshop, on Dreamweaver, on Flash, like making Flash stuff, and Illustrator, and a whole bunch of other whack loads of things. So he's really good, very talented. He's very organized with his videos, and he talks a little bit more professionally than I do. I'm kind of all over the map. But yeah, as you notice, I didn't really even put a tie on because I wanted to go for the casual look. I left the top button undone. Yeah. But I think I look alright. But yeah. So, hey, in your comments, let me know if you like the whole suit thing, if I should continue it in my future lessons, or do you think I should just go back to a more casual look? Personally, I kind of like this. It makes me feel more like I'm more grown up, I guess. Like, I'm 21, I'm not exactly a kid anymore, but it's just like, kind of like a weird mental jump when you go from wearing like regular clothes to like a suit. I don't know, I'm just being weird. But yeah, so look for that video. I'm not telling you the URL right now because I created this really crappy under construction page, and it's like blue with like white font, and like the pictures I tried to put in it aren't even showing up, and it just looks like total crap. So I'm just going to wait until he's finished doing the website for me, and I'm finished adding all the content and writing up all the stuff and putting it in, and like actually launch it and make it go live. And once that's up, then I'll tell you guys the URL, because I really don't want you to see how crappy, like you'll just be like, if you saw it. So yeah, I'm just going to leave that out until March 5th. And so, if you're watching this after March 5th, 2008, then that means it's up, so find it. Look in a future video and it should be there. Okay, well, I'm doing great. My surgery went really well. Everything's good. So, yeah. I'll talk to you guys later. Keep practicing. I should be posting a new video up soon. So take care, okay? Happy practicing.